You wake up early, get ready, and head to work. Every day feels the same. You put in the hours, you deal with the stress, and at the end of the month, you try to do the right thing. You save a little. Maybe you even invest a bit. On paper, it looks like you're making progress. But then you check your bank account, and nothing really changes. Here's the thing. You're not irresponsible. You're not lazy. In fact, you're doing what most people would consider smart with money. And yet somehow, you still feel stuck. Now you might be thinking, maybe I just need to earn more, or maybe I should invest more aggressively. But this is where it gets really interesting. What if the problem isn't how hard you're working, but the silent financial habits that are working against you? Because here's what most people don't realize. Wealth isn't destroyed by one big mistake. It's slowly drained by a few small ones, repeated over time. My name is Demas, and I spend way too much time thinking about money. If you're someone who feels stuck financially, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, this channel isn't about getting rich overnight. It's not about hype, quick wins, or chasing the next hot investment. It's about understanding how money actually works, so you can make better decisions long term. Because here's the thing. Most people don't have a money problem. They have a decision problem. They're working hard, earning income, even saving a bit, but the results just don't match the effort. And that gap, that's where frustration starts to build. Now you might be thinking, am I doing something wrong? And the honest answer is, maybe. But not in the way you think. This is where it gets really interesting. In this video, we're breaking down the top 5 wealth killers. Mistakes that look harmless on the surface, but quietly hold you back for years. Look, one of the biggest financial illusions out there is this idea that a higher income automatically means you're building wealth. It sounds logical, right? Earn more, and you'll have more. But in reality, that's not how it plays out for most people. Here's the thing. Income is just cash flow. Wealth is what you actually keep after everything is spent. Let's make this real. Imagine 2 people. One earns $50,000 a year and saves 20%. The other earns $120,000 but only saves 5%. On the surface, the second person looks more successful. But after a year, the first person saves $10,000, while the second only saves $6,000. Now multiply that over time, and the gap gets wider. This is where it gets really interesting. As income increases, so does lifestyle. Better apartment, newer car, more expensive habits. It doesn't feel excessive. It feels deserved. Now you might be thinking, well, I worked hard for that. And you did. But here's what most people don't realize. If your spending grows as fast as your income, your wealth stays stuck in the same place. Now let's talk about a mistake that looks smart on the surface, but quietly drains your money in the background. Investing, while you still have high-interest debt. Look, you've probably heard this 100 times. Start investing early. And yes, in general, that's solid advice. But here's the thing. Context matters. Because if you're carrying credit card debt at, say, 18% interest, and you're investing in something that returns around 8% a year, you're not moving forward. You're moving backward. Let's break it down. You invest $10,000 and make about $800 in a year. Sounds good. But that same $10,000 in debt is costing you $1,800 in interest. That's a net loss of $1,000. Now you might be thinking, at least I'm investing, right? But this is where it gets really interesting. Paying off high-interest debt is a guaranteed return. No risk, no volatility. It's like earning 18% instantly. Here's what most people don't realize. Being an investor means understanding where your money works best, not just putting it somewhere and hoping it grows. Look, playing it safe with money feels responsible. You save consistently, avoid risk, and keep your cash in a bank account because it feels secure. No volatility, no stress. But here's the thing. Safe doesn't always mean smart. Because while your money is sitting there, something else is happening in the background. Inflation. On average, inflation runs around 2 to 3% per year. That means the cost of living slowly goes up, even if your balance stays the same. Let's say you have $50,000 in a savings account earning 1%. After 10 years, you might see around $55,000. Sounds like growth. But this is where it gets really interesting. Adjusted for inflation, that $55,000 might only have the purchasing power of about $41,000 today. So technically, you didn't lose money, but in reality, you did. Now, you might be thinking, at least I didn't risk losing it in the market. And that's fair. But here's what most people don't realize. Avoiding short-term risk often guarantees long-term loss. Let me ask you something. If I asked you your exact net worth right now, could you answer it immediately? Not a rough guess, not somewhere around. I mean a clear number. Because here's the thing, most people can't, and that's a problem. Look, if you don't know how much you're earning, spending, and actually keeping, you're basically navigating your financial life blind. It might feel like you're doing okay. You pay your bills, you save a little, nothing seems out of control. But without clarity, small leaks go unnoticed. Let's say you earn $4,000 a month. In your head, you think you're saving $1,000, but then you break it down, subscriptions, eating out, random spending, and suddenly your actual savings drop to $300 or $400. That gap matters. This is where it gets really interesting. It's not always a money problem, it's an awareness problem. Now, you might be thinking, I just don't like tracking everything, and that's exactly it. Here's what most people don't realize. Avoidance feels comfortable, but it quietly keeps you stuck. Look, this one is subtle, but it shows up in your daily decisions. Short-term thinking. It doesn't feel like a big mistake, because each decision seems small. It's just $10 here, $15 there, something quick, something convenient, something that makes your day a little easier. But here's the thing. Those small decisions don't stay small over time. Let's say you spend $10 a day on things you don't really need. That's about $300 a month or $3,600 a year. On its own, it doesn't seem life-changing. But this is where it gets really interesting. If you invested that same $300 every month, with an average return of 8% over 30 years, it could grow to over $400,000. Now you might be thinking, I still want to enjoy my life, and you should. This isn't about cutting everything out, it's about being intentional. Here's what most people don't realize. Wealth isn't built through one big decision. It's built through hundreds of small ones, repeated consistently over time. Now let's talk about something that confuses a lot of people. Financial advice. Because here's the thing. Most advice you hear isn't wrong. It's just incomplete. You've probably heard things like, just save more money. And yes, saving matters. But if all you do is save without investing, inflation slowly eats away at your progress. Or invest as early as possible. That sounds smart too. But if you're carrying high-interest debt, investing early can actually put you further behind. Look, even avoid debt at all costs isn't always true. Some debt, like low-interest loans, can actually be useful if managed correctly. Now you might be thinking, so what am I supposed to follow? This is where it gets really interesting. There is no one-size-fits-all rule. Here's what most people don't realize. Context is everything. Your income, your debt, your goals, your risk tolerance, they all change what the right decision looks like. And without that context, even good advice can lead you in the wrong direction. So after all of this, the question becomes, what should you actually do? Look, building wealth isn't about chasing perfect decisions. It's about following a clear structure and avoiding the mistakes that slow you down. Here's the thing. You can simplify this into 4 stages. First, stabilize. Build an emergency fund and eliminate high-interest debt. This gives you breathing room. Second, optimize. Track your money, reduce unnecessary expenses, and increase your savings rate. This is where control starts to build. Third, grow. Invest consistently, focus on long-term compounding, and stop reacting to short-term noise. And finally, expand. Increase your income strategically and start building assets that generate more income over time. Now you might be thinking, this sounds simple, and it is. But this is where it gets really interesting. Simple doesn't mean easy. Here's what most people don't realize. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to stop doing the things that are holding you back. And once you do that, progress becomes inevitable.